You take your discipline to get your foot in the door, and then you take that to do whatever it is you really want. So, with all that being said, I'm here to talk to you about leadership. I'm passionate about leadership because I think leadership encompasses so many things. And I was a part of Leap's Leaders Emerging Among Professionals. I helped start that group on site. Then I became the president of an organization called Savannah Riverside Leadership Association, rocking my shirt, my pen. So that's why I like leadership. So I'm going to start it off. I want to be interactive, so y'all will talk a little bit. What is leadership? Anybody, somebody. Someone who's got a vision. I like that answer. Anybody else?
Making others see the vision.
Making others see the vision. I like it. So I went to Google, right? We're in the age of Google, right? Google says a leader is the action of leading a group or stating your position of being a leader, right? So I was like, well, what's a leader? I Googled leader, and it says the person who leads or commands a group or organization, right? So, some of the synonyms they gave was like chief, head, principal, guidance, direction, control. Well, to me, my kind of opinion of leadership is pretty much influence.
It's the one on the right.
This one?
Yeah.
This one? Look at me, see? Y'all see, I'm there we go.
There we go, man.
I had it upside down, all right? Leadership is influence, right? So what is influence? Anybody want to take a stab at that? What does influence mean?
Impact on somebody else's life.
I love it. Impact on somebody else's life, Anybody else want to give it a shot?
Yeah, having like a voice or the ability to speak and cause something to happen.
It's so cool. Y'all like so pre-setting up the whole thing, you know what I mean? So I went to Google again. Let's see what Google says, right? Because Google didn't say it's not right? I don't really believe that, but it's a good thing to bounce your ideas off of, And then you got to go meet people and then see if, do your due diligence and your research. But influence, the capacity to have an effect, what she said, on character, development, or behavior of someone or something, or some type of effect in itself. It also says a person or a thing with the capacity or the power to affect someone. So influence is leadership. I got this from John Maxwell. If any of you ever study leadership, you'll run into John Maxwell. He's got this book called The 21 Laws of Leadership.
It's on the reading list.
It's on your reading
It's
list?
not required, but it's
Well,
recommended.
so let me tell y'all what I did, because I like to read when I want to read, and when you got to read stuff that you don't want to, I got the audio book. And I used to drive 35 minutes to work every day, so I just listened to it while I drove. It was really, really good stuff. So one of the things he says is the true measure of leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less, If you don't have influence, it's hard to lead. Now, when I look at this, I think we're all leaders because every one of us have influence because actions make the truth in my mind. If I move this paper, no matter what nobody thinks about it, the truth is it's no longer residing where it was. Would y'all agree with that? If I move this, the truth is it's not right here, right? So influence and action, because for every action there's a what? Right? So even y'all might not look at me as a leader if I come I'm real quiet and I don't talk to nobody or anything. But then people are going to react off of that. They might leave me alone. They might not talk to me. What if I come and I'm acting crazy all the time? People might be like, well, I don't want to mess with him, right? So everybody is a leader in the fact that our actions create a reaction of influence. Does that make sense? All right, so good. So everybody's a leader. Now here's the thing. There's good and bad out there, just like there's light and dark. It's either you're going to be, people can use things for good and they can use it for the bad. It's for anything. You can use the internet for the good, you can use it for the bad. Same way as influence and leadership. So what do you think, what makes a good leader? What are some of those attributes? What do y'all think is good attributes of a good leader?
Good integrity.
Good ethics.
Integrity, ethics.
Yes.
One of the key things I say is where people can, the people that you're leading can actually come and talk to you.
Coming and talk to you, okay?
Where they
It's
feel
like kind of like humility or respect.
Right, but moreover, they're comfortable to come and have a conversation with you about whatever, whether it's good, bad,
Got it.
whatever it might be.
That you're like accepting of others.
It doesn't necessarily have to be accepting.
Comfortable.
Right, but
Familiarity.
it's not awkward, and it's not
Got
where you're just like, I can't talk to this person, but they're in charge of all this stuff.
That makes a lot of sense. A good leader needs to be able to be approachable.
Right.
Okay.
There we go.
Anybody else? What about bad? What's some bad characteristics of a bad leader? What is that?
Selfish.
Selfish. I like that. Anybody else?
Unwilling to change or adapt.
not willing to change or adapt or listen, right? That's one of those good characteristics, or listen. So it's the same thing. And another thing we need to understand is, I always say it's truth, perception, and choice, right? Because the truth is what we just talked about. If I make an action, truth is that move. And everybody's got a different perception. So it's important to understand that nobody in here has lived life, or nobody in the world has lived life exactly the way you've seen it through your eyes. So how could they have 100% same perspective that you do? So if there's like 7 billion different people in the world, there's 7 billion different perspectives. So that's important in leadership, to have tolerance for other people. Everybody's not going to be the same as you. They're not going to believe what you believe. They're not going to think how you think. It's even, I do mediation sometimes. There's a conflict management theory called the shared pool of meaning. What shared pool of meaning means is usually anytime there's conflict, somebody either has different information, we either have a different belief, or I might know something that the other person doesn't know. And the shared pool of meaning means once we all engage each other and we all get the same information on the table, 90% of the time you come around a similar resolution. So it's just good, kind of building up to tell you that everybody's got a different perception, and you make choices off of your perception. And that choice turns into an action. And for every action, it's a what? Reaction. So when it comes to leadership and influence, you all need to understand your power as a leader. Every single person in here has equal power of leadership and influence. It's what do you choose to do with your actions. And then with that is intent. Your intention of your actions sets the vibration. There's this thing called the law of attraction, right? It's kind of like whatever my intention is going to set the frequency of the action. And the law of attraction says whatever I do and whatever vibe I put out is what comes back. So if I'm doing something with a righteous intention or a good intent, and I do that action with that good frequency, good is going to come back to me. If I do something bad, if I'm angry and I do something with an angry intention to hurt somebody, then I'm going to get hurt back at me. So y'all keep that in mind as you go too. So before I move forward, I'm going to keep going. The capacity or power to have an effect on someone. We talked about that's what influence. So what makes a leader, right? Character, who they are. We were talking about that earlier. Somebody said something about good character. Relationships, who they know. Build your network. Meet people. Be approachable. Because if you want to be a good leader, you got to be able to connect with a lot of different people. Knowledge, what they know. You got to be competent. Competence makes you confident. Now, you don't want to be cocky because that's a different vibe. But you want to be confident. You want to know what you're talking about. The only reason I was able to talk to y'all about the site earlier because I did the work. I kind of knew about it. Intuition, what they feel. I had to come up this way. I had a professor tell me, nobody cares about how you feel. Tell me what you think, right? Until I went to Belize this year. My boss took all of us to Belize. It was really cool. And the whole theme was that vibration, what you do is what you get back. When things feel right, when you're doing something that feels right and it makes you feel good, that's a good thing to do. When you get that bad feeling about something and it's like, trust your feelings, trust your intuition. Experience, that comes from experience, where you've been. You do a lot of things. Y'all are coming here to gain experience. And ability, the laws of leadership, there's called a law of the lead. Kind of saying, what is your ability to lead? So here's what I think. Here's kind of my take on it. I think in order to be a good leader, because remember I said all of us are leaders, right? I think you only need 4 things to be a good leader. The first one is integrity, And when I look at integrity, somebody said that earlier. When I look at integrity, you think integrity at 100% is kind of non-existent. Like, who's perfect all the way around all the time? Nobody, right? And integrity is doing the right thing when nobody's looking. It's also being able to look yourself in the mirror and know that nobody's perfect. So if I'm not perfect, I need to be able to look myself in the mirror first and say, what can I do to be better? Or if you're dealing with a problem, what part did I take in creating this problem, Or what can I do to make those around me better? So you got to have integrity to look yourself in the mirror first and say, what did I do? What can I do? Look at me first. Does that make sense? The second one is humility. I believe humility is the key to peace, because if you're humble, you don't think you're owed nothing. You don't think you're over anybody. We're all equal out here, y'all. Nobody's better than anybody or above anybody. So in order to be a good and effective leader, after you have the integrity to check yourself, you need to have the humility to understand that we're all in an equal playing field here. And nobody's owed anything more than anybody. The only thing that's going to make the difference is who does what. It's the action. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. You know, who's going to make those actions? Third one is respect. We got to respect each other. It's hard to be a leader if we can't respect, like you said about being approachable. I got to have the respect to allow somebody to come tell me what they feel and what they think. And the humility to sit down and listen. So if you have those things, integrity, humility, and respect of others, the last thing you need in order to be a great leader is vision. Where are we going? How are we going to lead? How are you going to be a leader if we have no vision of where we're going? Does that make sense? I got this character because, you know, you got to have good character. This Teddy Roosevelt said, the role of a good leader is primarily to serve as a moral compass, pointing others towards the true north of justice and righteousness. And everybody's got a different take of good and bad, you know? And that's all in the eyes of the beholder, you know? Now, I think, I'm not going to go down a spiritual path, but I think there's an absolute good and bad, you know? And then everybody's got their take of it. And as a good leader, you want to help influence others to understand that and to make good and righteous decisions, because we understand when we do good actions with a good intent, we're going to get good back, you know? And then I like this one right here. It goes back to that vision she was saying. Nelson Mandela said, my middle name is Nelson. I used to get mad when I was little. People used to call me Nelson Mandela. I'd be mad till I learned who he was. And now I'm cool with it. So Nelson Mandela said, action without vision is just passing time away. Think about that. I did this for a long time. A lot of action, doing a lot of things without having any vision of where we're going. It's just passing time away. And that's not a bad thing because you get experience in doing it. You know? But then he said, vision without action is merely daydreaming. So any of y'all get these big grand ideas, hey man, we can do this right here. You know, you have a good vision. But if you don't put any action towards it, you just daydream. It don't mean nothing, you know? And the last one is, but vision with action can change the world. If you have a vision and you put your action towards it, you can really change the world. So I say all y'all put on your thinking caps real quick, right? So if you was going to put on your thinking caps, you know, what is your vision? Think if you could be anything you wanted to be, do anything you wanted to do, or go anywhere you wanted to go. You don't have to say it, but what would that be? Think about it right now. And remember, y'all, we're in the realm of possibility, so think big. What is the biggest thing that you would ever want to be in life? Or where is somewhere you would want to go? What's something you would want to do? You know, what is that? And if you don't know what that is, I always say, what are you good at? Or what do you feel good doing? What do you like to do? Because remember, when I graduated, I didn't know what I wanted to do. But I start thinking, you know, what are you good at? I didn't know this then. And what do you like to do? What do you feel good doing if you don't know what that is? But the second step after you think it, do you believe that you can do it? The power is in the belief. So usually, you know, like how our minds are trained, y'all, is our minds are trained to like focus on obstacles. So like, let's say you're like, you know, I want to go to Belize. But man, I don't have the money, and I'm probably in debt. Or, you know, your mind is trained to kind of like think about the obstacles, right? You got to focus on your vision. And even if you don't believe it, sometimes look yourself in the mirror and say, I believe that I can, whatever it was y'all just thought about. I believe I can be a doctor. I believe I can go wherever you want to go. I believe I can do this, right? Power's in the belief. After you believe it, it's as simple as, what is your plan? And sometimes people, I think, make that harder than it really needs to be. As far as a plan is like, what's one thing you can do tomorrow to get you closer to your vision? You know? It's really simple. I always related it to football because, like, when I was growing up, I wanted to go to the NFL. And everybody I said, I want to go to the NFL, they was like, you ain't going to go to the NFL. You're too small. You're too little. You're probably not going to go to the NFL. You're not going to go to the NFL. And then I heard it long enough, and then one day I looked up all these players, and the lightest guy I could find was Steve Smith. He was like 185. And I was like 160 at the time, and I was like, dang, I probably can't go to the NFL, you know? You got to believe you can do it. Now, if I wanted to go to the NFL, what's one thing I could do tomorrow to get me closer to it? Work out. What else?
You just said
Work out. In order to go to the NFL, you usually got to go to college, which means I got to go to class and, you know, at least get a 2.5 GPA and score a certain score on the SAT, right? So study. You know, and then I can study the game. So it's the same thing with whatever your vision was. Think to yourself, whatever you just thought, what's one thing you can do tomorrow to get you closer to that? And then the next thing after that is just execute the plan. The thought process is in the plan. Once you get your plan together, It's really not too much more thinking that. It's just do it. I read this article about this Marine that was like talking about how you get up early in the morning. You just have to get up at 4. And he says the way you do it is don't think. He says he knows he gets up at 4, he goes to the gym. So as soon as his alarm clock goes off, he jumps up, gets his stuff, and goes right to the gym. Don't even think about it. He just executes. So that's the same thing. And then lastly, we already talked about earlier, what's your intent? And then, what you put out is what you get back, right? So, we'll jump on this. Is this coincidence or not, right? If A through Z was 1 through 26, knowledge and hard work equal 96% and 98%, which both are important, but they fall just short of 100%. But attitude equals 100%. That is one thing we all are in control of. And remember that energy thing is real. Your attitude will dictate your aptitude. You ever heard that before? But no, really, that's one thing you can choose. You choose whether you come to class with a bad attitude or not. And you gotta know, if I come in here, man, if I come into class, I'm just like,
I have many students.
look at that energy you put out. And it influences those around, not the person beside you. Like, man, what's wrong with this person? That's one thing everybody in here can choose is their attitude. If you come to school and work and do everything you do, if you do it with a good attitude, you're gonna put out a good vibration, and good things are gonna come back to you. Does that make sense? Makes a lot of sense to me. Oh, I went backwards. I think I turned it upside down again. All right, so which step are you at? Which step are you at? Now, this is kind of blurry, but first, most people, when they get their vision, they're like, I won't do it. Then a lot of them say, I can't do it. And this is something, somebody told me she got aggravated when I said this, but I really believe this. 99% of I can't is I don't want to. Usually when people say, I can't do it, the true answer is, I don't want to do it. Just most people don't say it. Because you can do anything that you want to do, right? So after you get to the point that you're like, I want to do it, and that's funny, that's the next step. Like, I can't do it. 99% of that's I don't want to. Once you say, I want to do this, then it's planned. How do I do it? Then you got to go try. I'll try to do it. I can do it. I will do it. I did it. It's pretty much how anything works. It goes to that, back to that hard work beats talent, because talent don't work hard. If you think, I played with 7 guys who went to the NFL. And one of them, Raphael Bush from Williston, played with him at South Carolina State. He came in a year after I was a little bit shorter than I was, but guess what? He had the belief that he could do it. So when it came down, it was this party, When it came down to me going to the party, I went to the party, I had a good time, right? But what was I doing at 9 a.m. the next morning? Sleep. Feeling what I did last night. What was he doing? Working out. What did he do this year? He's still in the NFL. Almost had a chance to go to the Super Bowl. He played for the Saints. But, it just goes to show you, if you believe in it, he believed it. When everybody was telling me you can't do it, and I was like, I probably can't do it. He was like, yes, I can. So when it came time, he had a plan. I'm going to work out every day. I'm going to do this to get to the NFL. I wasn't, he was. Now where is he at? He's in the NFL. So it does correlate, y'all. Real quick before I leave, see, I told you I wasn't going to be that long. I'm going to give you some quick leadership perspectives. Because before I came to this class, I knew I was talking about leadership. I went and talked to a few people who had done it more than I had. I went to this executive and talked to him. I even asked my dad a few things. I asked a couple of my friends in business. Like, if you could talk to a class about leadership, what would you tell them? Here's some of the things they came up with. First one was inner circle. Watch the people you hang out with. Because remember, we're influencing each other. If you hang out with, if all of us was hanging out every day and I was doing something bad, and then next thing you know, I influence somebody else to do something, and then and now we're a bad group, Now I'm getting in the way like we bad, not like we bad, you know what I mean? But watch the company you keep, y'all, because we do influence each other. You heard the saying, you lay down with dogs, you wake up with fleas, and it makes sense. People follow the leader first and then the vision, which what that means is they buy into you as a person before they'll buy into your vision. So it goes back to that character. It goes back to that humility. I got to know that you are good people before I follow your vision. So make sure you're good people. If you want to be a good leader, they got to know who you are before they believe in your vision. Get input, then get buy-in. What that means in leadership, let's say I'm leading a group. Let's say I want y'all to follow my vision, right? I'm not going to just come up here and say, look, y'all, this is what we're doing. Follow me. I'm going to get your input. I'm going to say, Brent, what do you think about this? Well, Byron, I think you should do this. What do y'all think? I think you should change this and do that. Once you get input, then you get buy-in. Then now everybody's like, we had our input, we down to go with it. Sacrifice what you want now for what you want most. My coach used to tell me that. What that basically means, if you compare it to that NFL analogy, like what I wanted most was to go to the NFL, but what I wanted now was to go to that party. And they're usually in opposite directions of each other, you know what I mean? So what you want most is to be a doctor, but what you want now is your friend was like, hey, I got tickets to this concert, and you got an exam tomorrow. Sometimes you got to give up what you want now for what you want most. A good vibration change on sacrifice, because sacrifice always feels like you got to give something up, right? But sacrifice is giving up something great for something greater, So that's a good thought. Tolerance of others. We got to be able to tolerate other people. Remember, everybody's different. Everybody's going to come with a different energy, different vibe, different belief, different knowledge, different tone, different texture, different everything. We got to be able to tolerate others, And I always say, I don't like to be places I'm not wanted. If everybody's like, get out of here, I can always leave. I got a house. I just go to my house, It's the power of your choice. Remember, you got the power to choose your response. I think this is a good thing that we lose, especially now. We're so reactive off emotion. Somebody do something to make me mad, boom, I respond with a mad action, Versus me stopping and saying, you know what, I really want to be mad, but I know I got a vision, and I know if I get in this little altercation over here, it's going to lead me in the opposite direction of my vision. So instead of me telling them what my mind is telling them, I'm going to say, God bless you, man, have a good night. And go on about my business and keep working towards my vision. And then you never know, you may influence that person to do better. Don't be afraid to think outside the box or to make a mistake. Y'all be innovators. Y'all are all smart. Y'all are all smart people, Think outside the box, Don't be afraid to make a mistake. The mistake is only as bad as your reaction. Something happens, it's all about, I could have fell down right here, boom, y'all will laugh, I could have been embarrassed, and just walk out, right? I made a mistake, but it's how you respond to the mistake is what makes the truth. So don't be scared to make a mistake, you learn from it. Expand your vocabulary. I didn't learn that until not too long ago, but it makes a huge difference when I interface with several different genres of people, anywhere from an executive to whoever else. And having the vocabulary and the ability to communicate with all levels of people will really help you in leadership. Listen. We got 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listening is hard. Have you ever talked to somebody sometime and before you get done talking, they're responding to what you're saying? Like they didn't even process what you said. Listening is a key tool of leadership, and y'all will learn from it. When you engage people and you listen to them, they'll tell you things that you didn't think about. They may give you a perspective. You may have a group of workers and you didn't know that this was going on, but you listened and they'll tell you everything. Accept criticism. People gonna criticize you sometimes. You don't have to be sensitive all the time, y'all. We don't want to let our emotions take over. As long as it's in a good spirit of criticism. This is a good thing to keep. Somebody told me unasked for advice is unwelcomed advice. So I try not to give advice unless it's asked for, because what's the best way to create influence? It's to show it through your actions, right? So if I want to calm a group down, and I'm like, calm down, I always get the opposite effect. Anytime you try to tell somebody what to do, it's like people don't want to be told what to do. Like if I was like, don't walk out that door, y'all be like, man, I walk out of that door I want to. Versus, so I say the best way to create influence is through action. The second best way to create influence is the art of asking questions. So when you ask a question, you're not telling nobody, you're allowing them to come up with it. So instead of me being like, don't walk out that door, I might be like, do you think walking out that door is a good idea? And you might be like, no. I'm like, why not? Because, there's 100 guns on the other side of the door pointed at the door. So do you think it's a good idea to stay? Yeah, and then we all chill. So just keep that in mind. When you want to create influence, the best way to influence is to do it. Actions make the truth. Show it. Second best way is the art of asking questions. Because nobody wants to be told what to do. But if you ask them, Brent, do you think this is a good idea? I don't think this is a good idea. Versus being like, this ain't a good idea. Keep that in mind. Beware of the quick. That basically means, what comes easy goes easy. Sometimes people will sell you things, these quick fix things, or these get rich quick things. Just It's something about it, man. Even when you get it quick, even if it works and it comes quick, it'll be gone as soon as you get it. So beware of those quick fix things. Just go at it with the eye of like, explain this to me all the way around, you know? Pay your bills. Good credit is a good indicator of good leadership. This one from my dad. My dad always be like, a man who don't pay his bills is just like a thief, you know? But it's true, y'all. If you want to be a good leader, what type of leadership does that mean if you take a good or a service or borrow money and you don't pay it back? That's terrible leadership. So just keep that in mind. And good credit. Another pop saying is, if you got good credit, you can always put your hands on cash. These next ones was from a CEO of SRNS. His name was Dwayne Wilson. He said, be confident and be competent. You know, basically being confident is being competent. You got to know your craft, basically. Be optimistic. It's not as bad as you think. It'll get better in the morning. Sometimes, y'all, we're our own worst enemies, you know. We let something happen. We get in our head, and it snowballs, and it turns to this big deal, you know. So just be optimistic sometimes. It's not as bad as you may think. It'll get better. Remain calm. Be kind. It can be done. Don't let your emotions get in the way. So, you know, anytime I find myself in one of those situations, the first thing I do is I say, all right, calm down. Take a deep breath. Calm down, you know, be kind. That kind of goes back to our integrity and humility, you know. It can be done. Anything. So once I'm calm, I'm like, okay, what do I want to create out of this? What is my desired result? What is the best way to go about getting this desired result? And then execute. Don't let your emotions get in the way, you know. Sometimes we can be emotional creatures, y'all. Don't let your emotions rile you out of something. Get mad and get over it. I like that one, because it's okay to be upset sometimes, you know. Don't hold no grudges. Well, and when he said that, you know, he was talking about, like, so let's say I've taught you 100 times how to do this. I related to my football players. Like, I coached Little League last year, 11 and 12-year-olds. I used to tell them, even plays go to the right, odd plays go to the left. I told them this 100 times, right? Even get down and show them, look, when we run an even play, I want you to step with your right foot first. When we run an odd play, I want you to step with your left foot first. I'll ask them, even goes which way? They'll say, right? We'll get down and call it even play, and then go left. It make you mad, you know? Just make you mad, and that's okay. What he said is when something happens to get you mad, you can be mad in that moment, but then get over it. Don't hold no grudge, and then let's go back to work. Don't let an adverse face stand in the way of a good, I think that might have been typed wrong. But basically what it says, don't let an adverse situation stand in the way of a good decision. Sometimes you're going to run into things that can sway your decision making. When you got a vision and you got a plan and you know it's a good vision and a good plan, don't let an adverse situation get in the way of that. You got to know how to sideswipe the obstacles. That's why I was like, you know, if I wanted to go somewhere and an obstacle gets in the way, most times those obstacles take over your vision. You'll be like, man, I don't have the money to go, and this is going on in the family, and then I got this problem after this problem, and now you're focusing on all these problems, and your vision is over here. You done lost sight of the vision. Versus, if you keep sight of the vision, yeah, this obstacle come in the way, but you know I'm going to get on my budget. Boom, now I got this money. Bam, this person had this problem, but I'm going to show them my leadership. I'm staying focused on my vision, and then we'll find our way through the obstacles. Does that make sense? We almost there, y'all. Trust, communication, and mutual respect. When you're having a group and you're leading your group, a group must operate under trust, communication, and mutual respect. You know, we got to trust each other out here, and the way to do that is to be honest, transparency. You know, it sets out a good vibe. You got to be honest and real out here. And when you're real and somebody else is not real, it'll show up real quick. You can tell it. You just be like, no, this one ain't real. I don't know about this one, you know? And then communication. The way to get through that is to communicate. What is communication? It's really just relaying the same.